How fucking weird was that trip?
Oh, it was bizarre. Before we get into it, how long have you been into this?
So I've kind of been into the paranormal since I was like a kid. I grew up on X-Files, like that was my jam.
Okay.
And then it was just always a hobby. I loved researching paranormal stuff and reading books and watching docs and all that. And then in 2011, I did my first paranormal show. I did for 2 seasons. It was on Sci-Fi Channel.
What was that called?
It was called Haunted Highway.
Okay. I remember that.
Yeah, and it was like we filmed it all ourselves. It was kind of like Blair Witchy, how we shot it. And it kind of like plugged me into the world because like the thing with the paranormal community, and I'm sure, I don't know if you've experienced it now that you've kind of gone out into some cons and stuff. It's like
Big.
If you get like respect from the audience, the way you investigate or how you do your show, like you're like kissed in and you're good. And people responded really well to Haunted Highway, which led to Portals to Hell, which is the other one I do on Travel Channel. And I've just kind of been like ticking it over since like 2018.
So was it 10 years ago?
10 years ago I started doing it, yeah. And then I went, I didn't do anything for a few years and then started back up in 2018.
Okay, so, because I don't know if you don't know anything about me. You don't know this about me, but my father, which more and more every day I'm starting to believe, he was probably one of the biggest alien enthusiasts.
No way.
Now, he wasn't like UFON or any of that, but he was reading David Icke way before mainstream media. He was talking about reptilians. I remember in the 80s, he would bring this stuff up, and everybody would call him
the gay frogs.
Yeah, the frogs weren't gay; they were just bi at that point. And he was always like, he basically told us stories about he saw something in Atlantic City and another in the Smoky Hills of Tennessee, Smoky Mountains. And he was always wild, funny, hilarious guy. But it's Jamie's dad; he's a little crazy. And now a lot of the stuff he's saying is just becoming so mainstream. And so I was always familiar with UFOs, but I was never like, whatever. But I believe in them? Of course. Do I believe in ghosts? Actually, I believe in all this stuff is a quantum play, and it's too confusing for most people. Yeah. But basically, let's just say there's 7 realities right here. A ghost isn't a ghost. It's just some portion of an entity, whether it's a human or whatever, in another realm that we just can't access. Yeah. That's what I believe it is.
Yeah, like the thinning of the veil, or like, it's like people can kind of blip over into our reality for a minute.
Yes, and if you follow the double helix experiment, I don't want to go too deep down the rabbit hole, but it talks about how quantum is only, the realms start getting funky when it's just verifiable by the observer.
Yeah.
So that's the whole fucking thing of like how... And then you go into the whole thing, our reality projected and all this shit. So going back to it, though, you said how fucking crazy was our trip. It grew into it.
Yeah.
I just in terms of like, well, first of all, going to Utah, which I love, it's already chill, but we went 2.5 hours from anywhere. Mm-hmm. So we went to the Uinta Basin. Uinta Basin. And so it's really remote out there.
Yeah.
And we would drive an hour from our hour where we were staying, and it was fucking nothing but like it looked like Mars.
Yeah.
And each day got a little weird. Well, because if you wore a mask, people looked at you like you were a psycho. But once we were all together, we were all like in our little safety compound, which so we were fine. But no one wore masks.
No.
In Utah. They didn't really know the pandemic happened.
Nope.
And what was freaky about for me was many things, but I'll start slowly, is that when we started interviewing that Native American dude and his nose started bleeding.
Yeah, that was weird. Oh my God, I totally forgot about that.
He started talking about something that they say they don't like you to talk about.
Yeah.
And his nose started bleeding.
Yeah.
And then each day I was there, I had worse and worse diarrhea.
Oh, interesting.
And I had it for like a week after.
Oh, shit.
And I felt like fucking sick.
Huh.
And they say that, like, don't fuck with the grounds, because the grounds, now whether they left or whatever, but I did feel sickly. What's fascinating is so much about the sky and all of the tools that you had and all of the fucking binoculars. And then Ben, who knows everything. So but what was weird for me is when we started going to those caves. What was weird for you?
I was, and it still kind of boggles my mind. You saw the weird light come out of the ground. Was that you or was it Jay? When the first night we were like stargazing and like some.
I think that was Jay.
Yeah, like a light kind of came out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
The fucking weirdest thing was whoever that was or whatever that was running through the desert.
So we were looking for something called skinwalkers. So explain what that is.
So a skinwalker is like a Native American evil witch doctor that has the ability to kind of shapeshift into animals and do all sorts of weird shit.
Don't just say Native American because they might take that the wrong way.
Well, no, it is. It's like a Native American thing.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah, and I think more specifically like the Navajo. Like it's very very prominent, and in that area there was battling Native American tribes, and they would send skinwalkers to go fuck with each other. That's what the lure is. But when you start getting into like the Robert Bigelow and how he bought Skinwalker Ranch and he was doing all this crazy research, and the people that owned the ranch before had all these crazy insane things happen, and a lot of people know about the things that happen at Skinwalker now, from like cattle mutilation to orbs to people seeing weird entities to aliens to and in this part of the country I've never been anywhere where you speak to absolutely anyone you speak to in that town, they've had an experience with the paranormal.
Dude, you said it so eloquently when we went there, was that this area was one of like 3 most paranormal in the world. And there's a place in England, there's that door in Peru or wherever. Yeah. And you said it perfectly, that it's like a docking station.
Yeah. A deck hook from an aircraft carrier.
So explain that.
So the way it was explained to me is that energetically something about, whether it's ley lines, whether it's just some vortex in that area, but in the Uinta Basin, that's where when alien spacecraft are like blasting through space, faster than light, it acts as like a deck hook when they come into our atmosphere, and it slows down the ships.
And that's kind of their entry point.
Yes.
But I felt that place was a lot more than aliens.
No, that place is so much more. That's like some interdimensional shit.
So it's aliens, it's skinwalkers. I felt there was werewolves,
cryptids, like you name it. It's there.
Do you remember that bat? I saw a bat when I was doing the caves.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I felt there was vampires.
Yeah, probably.
So for me,
it's all there.
If you watch our episode, which is on Discovery Plus, you started freaking out, and you're like, "Yo, I see something." So we were looking with these super night goggles, and an entity, not an entity, a human, some type of being, was so far away, and it was a good size.
Yeah.
So it was bigger than an average, and it was just like boom, boom,
running.
Yes, I mean each step was like covered way too much ground.
Yep, and it was moving at very, very fast. It was pitch black. It had been raining. There was no sun. There was no moon in the sky. It was black, and whatever this was just marching along really fast. It like sees our vehicles in the parking lot. It turns and then just goes over a berm and disappears.
Exactly that. It did. It went over a berm. And the thing is, there's nothing out there. I can't tell people. There's no houses for an hour.
Yeah, we drove 25 miles outside of town to get where we were.
So for something to be out there, it would have to be living out there in its own setup.
Yeah. And if that was like a homeless guy, cool. But how are you going to fucking survive when there's only an oil well? You drinking crude oil?
Yeah. There's a ton of oil out there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of it. And I got to speak with one of the oil
That's right.
operators.
Because they were leaving offerings, right?
Yes. And he hated working the rig by himself.
Yeah.
And he was very scared.
Yeah.
So to me, it's fascinating. And we're about to do another episode. I don't know what I can say.
Oh, yeah.
But we're about to go where?
We're about to go... I forgot the name of the place, but we're going to go do a ghost hunt.
And that's different than the last one.
Yeah. We did like UFOs, cryptids, skinwalkers last time, but we're doing ghosts now. And like...
Dude, I don't even know where we're going. I just know it's going to be freezing.
Yeah, it's going to be cold.
Yeah.
Very cold. Get one of those electric jackets that like heats up.
And have you been to this place before?
I've never been to this place. No, it's in Illinois.
Oh, fuck. Is it a penitentiary?
I don't think so. No, it's like a house. Yeah.
And it's fucking supposed to be crazy.
Supposed to be crazy. Yeah.
Do they leave with us? Do you believe that any of the things that you've experienced follows you?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm
Have you gotten rid of them?
Yeah, like I'll do like saging and, you know, Palo Santo and all that, but like man, I'm not the guy that's like constantly drinking the paranormal Kool-Aid when it comes to ghosts. UFOs and shit, like I'll really be like, nope, that shit's 100%. Ghosts, I do it so much. I have more questions than answers, and I think I don't think it's what we always think it is. I think it could be closer to what you were saying about kind of quantum, interdimensional energies bouncing back and forth. But I mean, I've absolutely had shit follow me home, without a doubt. Like woken up and seen fucking I don't drink, I don't do drugs. So like when I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm fucking awake. I'm not like all fucked up. And I've seen cloaked figures. I've woken up and I've seen an old lady leaning over me. I woke up and I had my foot getting tugged and someone yelling my name to the point where I sat up and was like, hello? Like, because I thought it was one of my kids. The other day, I got done doing a shoot and just finished an investigation. I was kind of falling asleep on the couch and I watched my kid's fucking door open. Like straight up.
Your house?
I haven't told my Ari this yet or anything. I watched the door just go brrr, just fucking open. And I just do my usual like, hey, you're not welcome here. Get the fuck out of my kid's room. You are not welcome in my house. Leave.
That's your line?
Yeah.
To the ghost?
I get like angry because I'm like, no, this is my space. Like I can come to your space, sure, but you're not allowed in my space.
Does that work?
Things have mellowed out. But I've been seeing a lot of stuff out of the corner of my eye lately at my house.
Dude, do you think because you're in the world?
Maybe. You know, I've had experiences where I'm just like, it doesn't make sense that that's happening. Like when you have a voice come over a recorder that there's no one in the room. You know, when I've had devices intelligently communicate with me using like beeps, you know, I'll show you some of the kit that we use. You know, when I've had doors open, when I've had flashlights turn on command, like dude, it's some of the stuff that has happened, and I'm like, okay, well, a lot of people like ghosts aren't real. That's not real. That's all bullshit. That's made up. That's your imagination. Fine. Then what is it? Then why did that door open? Why is that flashlight turning on when I'm saying, hey, if something's here, turn that on for yes. Flashlight turns on.